Welcome to the Collingwood Rant for 2024. I'm Sly.
And I'm still fucking Premiers Spook. Well, not literally fucking Premiers.
No, but Premiers nonetheless.
That's it.
Alright, cool. So we're going to look at Collingwood going into
What are we looking at today?
List management, draw, fixture.
What do we look at the draw and the fixture?
Sure, let's try that. I think that could be interesting.
You'll find I'm full of good ideas.
Well, it's about time. So let's look at the players who left. Taylor Adams.
Who?
Taylor Adams.
Did he play for us?
Yeah. He was quite the warrior for us.
What are we doing? Are we acting sad or how are we handling this? You're asking my opinion.
Yeah. That's how this show works.
Do we emphasise with Taylor Adams the rumours that we heard about the exit?
Oh, you can. I won't. No, look. Let's not talk about rumours that he wasn't injured and actually dropped.
And petulance didn't
and petulance
back in.
Yeah.
No, look. I think they're clearly players that were not necessarily at that time gone past him, but they've gone past him.
Well, I was telling that Mitchell, they tried to share the duties, but then Mitchell just became more of a full-timer in the middle.
And I think it would have been very, very obviously made to as a point to him that your options are going to be limited next year. How he reacted, if it's true, don't let the door hit you on the way out, on the arse.
Well, he did say though.
However, though, if it wasn't true, he takes that back. And we're sorry to see you go.
Well, he did say if he played, we would have won by more.
What did he say? Who said what?
Adam said if he did play the grand final, we would have won by more.
What? You reckon?
Oh, jeez. It would have been hard replacing Lipinski's input. Trent Bianco.
I don't think Lipinski was that bad in the granny.
You've obviously got a low bar. Trent Bianco.
I think Adams would have burned a lot of it by foot, though. You wonder how much of an impact that would have had on the outcome.
Yeah, but you would have thought that Adams would have, he would have thrown himself around to win the ball. He would have tackled a lot harder.
Yeah,
he would have been a really...
It's a slight pathetic that we'll never know the answer to.
If you go back to 2018, if we won that grand final... but if we won that grand final... I reckon him or the guy would have been Norm Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
good.
always think he's burning the ball is a little bit... I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't, but I think it's a little bit overrated. He's one of these guys that when he might do 18 really good things and when he does 2 bad things, it's like, well, that's his problem.
I think, though, towards the end, though, the bad started to get a little bit more prominent. I think the game was catching up with him. Well, I'm going to be interested to see how he goes at Sydney. I wish him all the best.
Yeah, so do I.
I don't hate him or anything like that, but no, I don't think I don't think we'll miss him.
Trent Bianco, will we miss him?
What did he do?
Essendon win in 2022 when...
Oh, yeah, no, that was all right.
Yeah.
He's got one highlight. Where'd he end up going? Back to WA or something, was it?
No, don't care.
Yeah, I don't think that's another one that we'll shed a tear over. Not that that's a negative thing or having a crack or anything. It's just we won't miss him.
Glad you're not having a crack. Arlo Draper, we'll recover from this one.
What a name. What a name. Did he just hang around above the curtains a lot?
I think he was delisted and then re-rookied or something.
I think he was delisted and he just kept turning up. You, water boy.
Jack Ginnivan.
Yeah, it's an interesting exit as well, isn't it?
So the initial scuttlebutt was he had a bit of a sulk when they recruited Schultz and won it out. Interestingly, Isaac Quaynor was in the Herald Sun where he intimated that Collingwood was going after Schultz and that's, they'd already decided that they're going to trade Ginnivan, so it wasn't his decision. You go back to the grand final, lead up to the grand final, you very rarely in the 2 years his coach Collingwood seen McRae irked, but he seemed pretty irked with bloody Ginnivan.
His ire was raised.
Yeah, doing the horses.
Yeah, he made read the room comment.
Yeah, and so I do wonder how much of that actually contributed to just this is this kid ever going to actually realise it?
Well, yeah, I think yeah, if you've demonstrated a poor attitude, and we don't know this for a fact throughout the year, and you've been gifted a spot in the grand final. I mean, you didn't do much in that.
It was less than that.
Yeah, and your thanks at the end of it all is to before that, your thanks for being given the opportunity is to probably make a stupid decision. you wonder whether that was just the straw that ultimately broke the camel's back, as they say.
Yeah, I actually thought the grand final was really emblematic of the way Ginnivan plays. I think his hands are beautiful with the ball. His defensive pressure is not great. I think the first 2 goals Brisbane got in the second quarter, I'm not going to say he contributed, but he could have impacted the contest more on the wing where he didn't attack the ball carrier. Instead, he sort of did the half smother, whereas Adams would have run in and held himself at the ball and that sort of thing. If you look at every disposal Ginnivan has, outside of the shot he has a goal that you really annoys you, he just puts it in the air and usually puts it to disadvantage. He does it to Hill, he does it to Elliott. So it's like, you look at this guy and you think you've got a lot of talent, but you ever going to develop the temperament and the maturity to get the best out of it? Because you can't always... I mean, look at McCreary early on, he gets the ball, he could have blazed away, instead he sort of slows down, turns around, he spots up Hill, and McCreary's... He doesn't get enough of the ball overall, but generally when he gets it, he's really good at sort of going, I'm going to go for it this time, or I'm going to actually lay it off. You get back to that Carlton win 2022 at the end of the year, where he had that beautiful shot from the pocket. So he's got really good discretion, whereas Ginnivan just, that goal you said where he's gone for, not goals, but he's gone for the shot and he's missed it, and you're saying he had like 2 players pretty much top of the goal square he could have went to. You'd wonder whether he's ever going to develop that sort of awareness and selflessness.
I don't know, did you see, I only saw one bit of footage from the Hawthorn practice game, and it was pretty much Ginnivan's ended up with the ball pretty much in the same spot where he had that fucking missed banana hook in the grand final, and he's chosen exactly the same shot. Now, granted, he did dob this one and it just got in, but you looked at that moment and go, what did you fucking learn from that? And on the biggest stage in the biggest game of the year, where you probably should have just gone back and slotted it through with a drop punt, you've chosen to kick around your body again.
Yeah, I reckon the best small forwards are, people like Eddie Betts, Cyril Rioli, go back to Peter Dacos. Their strength is they know when to go for it, or when to sort of say, I'm going to be the one who does this, and when to actually lay off. When to actually sort of look and go, no, actually, there's a better option now. I mean, Paul Metis was actually really good at that when he was at Collingwood too. Ginnivan sort of seems to... Actually, in the Essendon game, the last game of the year where we played their VFL, he seemed sort of semi-selfless, and I don't know if he was just trying to secure his spot. But otherwise, he just sort of seems to go for the all or nothing approach. And I don't know how long that's going to, keep him afloat.
That brought back trauma memories seeing that footage the other day, and I think, that's what you're going to be. I mean, we championed him for a long run there and everything, but it was a disappointing year. Yeah, look, and maybe it's an outlier. I think his year before all the punishment happened was pretty good. I
will say, because I'm going to be mean this year, if he left because they recruited Schultz, like if he said, I can't run out,
getting petulance.
I would be really pissed off. I would be like, if I was in his position, even if they wanted to trade me, I would have fucking said to McRae, keep me. By the end of the year, you're going to be penciling me in to be 18. And you're going to be wondering who else you're going to drop.
Yeah, he sort of... there clearly couldn't be too much animosity there, because he rocked up to the practice match and watched our practice match and watched in the crowd. Now, obviously, he'd been there for a few years. He's part of the place. Bucks never stays away. He's every fucking 5 minutes these days. I think last time I saw him there, he had a sleeping bag with him. But Ginnivan obviously feels comfortable enough to come back to the club. But
but he's only out of it. He's not coming,
I don't know how he was farewelled. I did see someone's ass being kicked over a fence at the end. But who knows? Maybe, again, it's a situation where you completely misread the room.
Look, I don't know. I mean, again, from what Quaynor said, it seems the club decided, no, look, go. We've got the Schultz coming in and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm just disappointed. You pumped 2.5 years into this kid in terms of seniors. You think this is when he should be starting to realise his talent. And if anything else, if nothing else, he offers depth, and you've gotten rid of him. So it'd be interesting to find out one day what was happening behind the scenes.
Again, it's another one. It'll be interesting to track how he goes at Hawthorn.
Will Kelly?
He got picked up by
Sydney
today. Was that as a rookie, or what was? Is it on the? He's not on the senior list, or whatever it is.
I think he was just
SS,
laying outside the entrance.
SSB or an SSD or something. I don't know what it is. They call it. Seems to be a fucking name for every supplemental position on a team these days.
He must have really though made an impression to be
Well,
picked
I
up.
think it's just like you don't see a lot of blonde, curly-haired blokes in Sydney. Maybe he's a novelty.
I don't know. Maybe he went up.
Maybe they thought they were getting Harpo marks.
Possibly, or maybe he had a meeting with Longmire and slapped the table and said, "You got to pick me up."
I mean, he never really showed a lot, but it still frustrates me because there was no. He's got size. We're lacking a little bit of size as depth, but I think they're better judges than us. They've seen enough, and obviously he was let go. I was interested. I didn't expect Sydney to pick him up or anyone to pick him up really.
Yeah, the only qualifier I put on him and a few of the others is his early years were the COVID years where there was no VFL and that, so they sort of were always a little bit behind in, it annoys me when you read message boards and shit and people go, oh yeah, whoever, it's been at the club for 5 years. It's like, well, it's been at 5 years, but 2 of those, they had no VFL structure or anything. They were fucking playing kick in the park. So you can't really count those 2 years as part of the development. No. I mean, the footy showed glimpses, but he never really sort of seized a position and
he seized a few times.
Cooper Murley.
Do I know him?
I don't know. It's the Trey Rusko.
I didn't mind Rusko. I thought he showed enough. Yeah, I was surprised they cut him, considering he played a fair bit in defence and acquitted himself, I think, more often than not. As a depth player, I think he probably could have been held. But we got Dean.
I'm going to go to him later.
And a few others there waiting in the wings that they clearly think probably show more upside. But that one surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, I know people go, he was a little bit too slow, a little bit too undersized, or this or that, or I saw him in the VFL and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, a lot of those people were saying the same thing about Murphy. I'm not saying Rusko is going to be as good as Murphy, but sometimes VFL form's misleading. Murphy sort of just went from, and then he skyrocketed in terms of his...
Although these days he usually goes, and then there.
Yeah, well, that's another problem we'll talk about. Tom Wilson.
He's back playing basketball or something. Didn't he go back to his first love? And when she rejected him, he went back to basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so that pretty much says it all. So, Harry the Marty at number 25 pick.
I quite like the look of him. I was disappointed.
Before or after he did the finger?
How many fingers have we done at Collingwood the last couple of years that equates to a third of the season to get over it?
I don't know. It must be like some sort of...
But are they in hospital with those big splints and the weights hanging? They're just there with a suspended finger? Must be like watching ET for 24 hours a day.
Jack Bytel.
He sounds like a telecommunications company.
So I picked this up off the AFL website. Drafted by St Kilda was pick 41 in the 2018 AFL draft. Bytel went on to play 22 games for the Saints. The 23-year-old midfielder was delisted at the end of the last season, which is a little bit worrying for me. I think if you're deemed delisted by St Kilda, it's like... And particularly by Ross Lyon, who I think actually gets the best out of...
We've had some good rejects from St Kilda, though.
Who outside of Luke Ball?
Wakeland.
Oh, yeah, but you go back 25 years or whatever.
Well, that's what this is about.
25 years.
Yeah, we're only as good as we remember.
Well, here's the interesting thing. In those guys they rookied or whatever the supplement
So we jumped from Vital to... what was his name? Hatita?
I just doing in the order that I'm just.
You're not doing them in any particular order.
So I'm doing them in the order that they were picked up off the bloody website.
So that's you've gone from a draftee to an SS.
Yeah.
SSP.
I'm
hip. I'm with it.
Yeah, I don't know why they've chosen the order.
I mean, really, does anyone give a fuck?
Joss Erie, I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, Joss Erie.
Joss Erie. In the air Erie. Up there.
Yeah, so we walk into Collingwood by tearing a hamstring off the
bone. Hang on, do you like this one? He's a marketing opportunity. Nike Air.
Okay, a tall utility. He was elevated to Essendon's VFL list in 2022, having been part of the club's next generation at academy. The 21-year-old joined Collingwood's VFL program last season and made 9 appearances the side, predominantly in the back line. So, I don't know. I mean, they said he was training pretty well, and then he tore his hamstring.
Well, he's a walk-up start. Isn't that qualified?
Yeah.
That's his qualification. I did see some footage of him fumbling a mark, but he got up high in the air. He was in the air up there.
Oh, good on him.
As they say. I don't know. I haven't seen much of him. I haven't seen anything in the little highlight things you see on anything these days that look like I should get excited.
Actually,
But he's tall depth, I guess. He's got some good height.
yeah, I mean, I actually found it interesting of the SSPPS guys. They're all mature age. So the other one was Lockie Sullivan, two-time Western Bulldogs VFL best and fairest. Sullivan established himself as a key midfielder throughout his time in the VFL system, a member of the VFL Team of the Year in 22 and 23. The 26-year-old averaged 30.9 disposals, 7.6 clearances, and 5.9 tackles per game for the Bulldogs last year. So he's got some good numbers, and the Bulldogs do have a pretty deep midfield, so he might have just, got him pushed out. And 26, so he's basically plug and play. So if he doesn't win the Brownlow, he'll be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, you fucking wanker.
Yeah. So here's another one, but we don't really know anything about him. Will Parker, leg spinner that they picked up to play as a Category B rookie. So apparently this guy was rated like a top 15 draft pick a few years ago, but instead...
Did they say in which sport?
Well, he went and played cricket instead.
He must be good then.
He must be good, and we're all really happy, obviously, because at Collingwood... Anyway, Lockie Schultz.
Was a cricket team stumped that he left?
That was spun out. Lockie Schultz, trade from Fremantle.
He looks good, doesn't he?
I don't know, I haven't really seen anything of him. It's not like I watched a Fremantle game ever.
No, I had no idea who he was up until when we took him and I was forced to find out. What did he kick, about 30 goals last year or something? He knows where the sticks are.
The thing
I think he's... would you expect Elliott to play every game this year? I probably wouldn't. He sort of plays a similar similar build, similar type role.
You'd hope that McCreary gets pushed up a little bit. I mean, the one thing I looked him up after we picked him up, and he had like about 95 tackles for the home and away season, and McCreary was on about 90 with playing the finals also.
They should keep the ball on the forward line a bit then.
And, obviously playing at Fremantle, who spluttered last year, so he's going to have a lot more opportunity at Collingwood, should he stay upright. It's one of the challenges at Collingwood.
He's doomed now.
So, it seems like an astute pick, and... I don't know how to pronounce the name exactly. TJ.
Oh my god.
Yeah, pick 37 in the draft.
Well, his brother plays for Hawthorn. He looks quite good. I didn't see much of that practice match against North. We played a lot of the Cat Cs and reserve grade rookies and SSJs. But he looks like he moved all right. Did a couple of nice things.
Yeah, from what
I saw, limited. Saw if he was that good in those moments I was watching. What's he like when I'm not looking?
Well, from what I saw of reports of him,
you clearly didn't see enough to learn how to pronounce his name.
No, I'd mess up any name. He apparently looks good, but just he's really underweight, so he'll be, a bit of a project to put some muscle on.
His brother's good at Hawthorn, so
but he's been there for 9 years, so
he's
a little bit ahead in the weight.
He's only been here 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he'll be a long-term project. It's not going to be, round 1, you'd think.
So round 2?
Yeah. So what do you think about the list overall in terms of, you have Murphy who's got...
Seconds left.
I mean, I really like fucking Mark Robinson wrote that bullshit article about Murphy, and then really liked that Craig Kelly came out and slammed Robinson.
I wish he did.
From
the top turnbuckle.
I don't know if Robinson's going on about, bloody Taron Thomas, formerly at North.
I don't think he said a word, has he?
He didn't say anything about Joel Smith or whatever. And it's just, I don't know. I'll fucking say it anyway. Did you find it a little bit odd that the Joel Smith story broke, and then pretty much straight after it, Melbourne released that Clayton Oliver was retiring?
Oh, that's
not Clayton Oliver. Sorry, Angus Brayshaw.
I think that's pretty much par for the course. It's pretty much what football clubs do all the time.
Because I spoke to someone.
Who was it?
I can't tell you, but it was on Friday, and he said,
"What's his name?"
I'll tell you, but
what does he look like?
He's tall.
Male or female?
Doesn't matter nowadays.
There's no.
But he was just saying, Brayshaw was a late withdrawal from a practice match, and they knew then he was done. So, they knew quite a while before the Joel Smith story broke.
Was he unconscious? Put him with a stick.
No, I mean, it's unfortunate.
It's all Maynard's fault, though. Did you know that?
Oh, it's funny. Someone sent me a meme of, all these Melbourne supporters complaining about Maynard.
Hang on a second. Melbourne supporters complaining?
Yeah. Running into Brayshaw. But Pickett fucking launching himself at, who's the Bulldogs player? Forgot the blonde guy, the Bailey Smith. When he did his bump where he actually launched himself like a torpedo, that was fine. He was playing the fucking ball. I've always said it. I mean, the Maynard one really is unfortunate, but fucking hell, it's a game where people are going to get hurt. And it's really unfortunate because if Brayshaw, concussion is going to drive him out of the game, and hopefully he doesn't have any long-term ramifications from it. Murphy is facing the same thing. I mean, we said it last year. He's always that one hit away from just saying it's done.
That's the concerning thing. And I love Murphy. He's a great player, and I want to see him play for another... How old is he? 23, 24 or something? He's still young.
He's still relatively
You want to see him go for another 10 years, but obviously
he's drafted 28.
concussion free, but it's so hard to see that happening.
Well, you look at guys like McCartan and Sekilda and Sydney. He had the concussion issues. He came back, and it only lasted so long. And you'd think for those sort of guys, you'd just say, look, just give it up. Because at some point you are going to cop a hit to the head. And that's just physiology. I mean, you get two players, they get hit the same way. One might have concussion, the other one might just brush it off and go, hey.
The concern sort of is, and I don't mind him making the statement about where I think a lot of those hits he takes, I mean, they are pretty impactful head knocks by the way in which he plays. Now, if he adjusts the way he plays to compensate for that, does he become a lesser player? You know what I mean? There's a balancing between the way that you attack the ball, your reader coming in, the way you position yourself, that probably means you're going to get the odd knock. But if you pull out from that, you then take too much of a step backwards, would be my concern. But yeah, we'll give him his dues. He's going to have another crack at it. He's been ruled okay to play, I believe, by the medicos. So we'll see. Watch this space.
Yeah,
I think one more.
I don't know. I think if he's on that alert right now, then it's like, you're done.
Is he named in the Richmond Pracky game?
I have no idea.
Can we just date stamp this in case we don't release it for another 6 months?
We're not going to release it until next week. What a great win it was against Richmond.
How good were they? How good were they?
Yeah,
Why don't you put in the comments how good they were and we'll read about it?
Yeah, I think, look...
Do we have comments underneath the shit we make?
No. Yeah. Eventually he'll get hit because that's just the nature of the game. And it's going to cause another concussion. So it's just like, I think he should just get out. I think his long-term health's a lot more important.
Yeah, look, I understand him having another crack, but it'll be, it sort of just feels like it's inevitable.
It's inevitable, yeah. All right, and so like it looks like they've tried to draft or pick up players who could be a potential fill-in there. I mean,
fill-in?
Yeah. The one
Didn't we ever fill in once?
Yeah, we did. He was good. The one thing with Collingwood, obviously because we've been up for a little while, we're not getting access to early draft picks. So, Murphy, because remember when he was drafted, they took Jaden Stevenson with pick 6. And then Murphy was like pick 30 or something. And they said they were surprised he still lasted that long because they were actually at pick 6.
It's an unheard of statement by a draftee.
But the
thing, or a drafter, what do they call him?
Yeah, but the interesting thing was they said they were deliberating whether they were going to take Stevenson or Murphy. And they weren't sure. And they went with Stevenson. So if they rated him worth a pick 6, these guys they're picking up like Josh Erie or whatever his name is, no offence to them, where do they rate them? You can't just replace quality, and Murphy's a quality player.
There's no plug and play alternative sitting there. You're going to have to be patient with whoever takes your spot if it comes to that.
Yeah, so...
And you're at risk, I think, in defence this year, because how you're relying on him to stand upright all year.
Moore's had problematic...
Well, he was clearly carrying something for the last, about 6 weeks or something with the golf ball, bowling ball ankle at the end of each game.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of concern. So you don't know how the way they're going to shape it. Obviously, they determined that Rusco and Kelly and that weren't going to be that part of that future. So they brought these other guys in. Charlie Dean, they've really highly rated for a couple of years, but he's shockingly had injuries that have ruled him out of 2 seasons.
He's got a lot of ground to make up too.
And he's another rookie too, so maybe he'll be great, but again, there's sort of the longer odds, and I know you do pick up gun players, McGovern from West Coast was a rookie from memory. I know you do pick him up, but it is sort of a longer shot, so that is a little bit of concern. So I'd be curious what they do. I mean, I'd still float potentially playing Ash Johnson at centre-half back, because I think he's just... maybe it's changed, but I think with Ash Johnson, you sort of, the form we've seen, he just sort of comes in and out of games mentally.
Yeah, I don't think I'd trust him in defence.
Well, forcing him to mind someone might actually force him to focus. It's whether Penny's going to drop. I think he looks like the sort of guy who's probably gotten off on talent for so long, he hasn't really needed to dedicate himself. But at the AFL standard, you can't.
No.
Just sort of hope talent's going to carry you.
I think there needs to be some penny dropping there. I did see he missed a round the body snap from about half a centimetre out during the practice match. So
Was it a grand final?
No, that's not to say I don't want him to come good. I want him to come good.
I want him to come good. I mean, whoever's wearing black and white, I want him to come good. I don't give I don't care how much you hate him. Fixture this year.
What was that in English? Fixture.
The fixture.
Oh, this is the tonight's feature. Are we going to watch a movie?
Yep.
Is this a screen? Is that the moon?
So I grabbed this off the AFL site. We are rated the second hardest fixture. So Brisbane's apparently got the hardest, and they didn't bother, looking any further than that because they don't really care.
Who are the top two finishers?
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, we should have.
What the hell fucking harder is a fixture? What does it come down to? About 5 or 6 games difference to everyone else?
Yeah.
Once you play everyone once, I mean, really, how much harder could it be?
Well, it'd be nice if you played everyone once before you started playing clubs twice.
Oh, what a fucking! It's like
What a novel concept.
It's like a bingo machine these days. They're at the draw.
Yeah. So we played twice this year. Brisbane, Carlton.
We played them twice last year.
Played them 3 times last year.
Yeah. No, I mean the home and away season, obviously.
Oh, so you forgot the grand final.
No, I'll never forget it. No, I'll never forget it.
Over Macho Grande.
How do we go on it again?
Played twice. Brisbane, Carlton, Melbourne, Sydney, Essendon, Hawthorn. So they're interesting sort of clubs to play because Melbourne's got a little bit of turmoil behind the scenes.
There's a change.
Yeah.
There's a shock.
What does Joel Smith have to say about it? No, Sean Smith, not Joel Smith.
What?
What does his father have to say about
Yeah,
it?
where's he gobbing off these days?
Yeah.
He's gone pretty quiet. He's quieter than Robbo. What did Robbo write about it?
Yeah, so...
When's the Taron Thomas articles coming out? I haven't seen anything since North sacked him.
I haven't seen, but it's North, so I haven't seen North Melbourne since they sacked him.
But the go he goes to Bali, it's front page news for 6 months.
Yeah. Well, let's not go there. So Brisbane, you'd think Brisbane's going to be up there in the top 4 to 6.
You'd think it, wouldn't you?
Carlton, interesting one.
I hope they're bottom 4.
I mean, I know people who actually think they'll implode. I can't say it,
I sincerely hope so.
But
I think they had a good finish to the year, but I'm still not convinced by Voss.
Well, that's the issue with me.
And they've signed him up for 3 years, so yeah. I think he's a very reactionary type coach, not a thinker. But I don't know that for a fact. Just what I'm observing from the outside looking in.
I think he really emulated McRae. That's when Carlton started turning around their form to an extent. I think he was 1 game from being sacked. They played Gold Coast here and they smashed him. But if that was a loss, I think they would have he would have gotten the sack. He seems to me a very Buckley-like coach, which is just smash into the packs, win the ball, kick it, and let's do it all over again. I think their success has been in spite of him or despite him, not because of him. I think they got a really good nucleus for a list.
Plus the 74 of Freeze Curnow gets in front of
goals.
goals.
Well, yeah, I mean, he led the goal kicking, I think, but half of them were for free kicks, which is just an unheard of translation for a key forward. I mean, you look at the way Cox is treated, look at the way Travis Cloak was treated, look at the way Anthony Rocket was treated. Jeez, imagine they were getting frees for being held.
Amazing.
So Melbourne, I mean, it's hard to see them stable with all the shit going on behind the scenes.
Talented list, but they're in a little bit of disarray at the moment. It's going to be whether they can pull themselves out of that. But the harsh reality is that they haven't won a final since the
flag year,
the COVID Cup. Was that a real grand final or was it?
No, it's in Perth. It doesn't count.
It doesn't really count, does it? Unless we won it, then I would have counted it.
But we didn't, so
no, we didn't.
Count.
So it can go fuck itself as far as I'm concerned. They've gone out straight sets, 2 years running. It's akin to the when St Kilda lost the 2 grand finals and when we lost the 2. As much as you can try and pump it up and the hype and everything, it does mentally fuck. I think with a list, I reckon they might be fragile. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I think their list, there's elements that are great about it, but there's like their forward line still. There's no key forward. The Grundy experiment totally blew up in their faces, which.
Oh, he'll have a better year with them this year, won't he?
I could probably tap it to their midfields this year at least. You've
the
lost
Grundy effect.
You've lost Brayshaw. Oliver's problematic. So you lost 2 of your key midfielders.
Has he been up to a mischief again? Has he?
He's playing the VFL. So I don't know what he's doing. I think we just...
I don't think he knows what he's doing either.
Yeah, so you got stuff like that going on. Joel Smith is not there, so you've lost...
Smith.
It's Joel Smith, isn't it? Oh, sorry, is that what you said? Okay, I'm not going there. So you've lost like 3 players from their starting 18, let alone their starting 23 or whatever the hell it is. I'm not convinced Goodwin can coach either. I know they won the flag, but again, they won the flag in a year that was insanely compromised. Like that, I think... Don't quote me entirely on it, but like if I look back, I think that's the one year they beat us in the last 5 years, but they smashed us. But it was a year where we played 4 games in 14 days, and that was the 4th one. And it was like, well, fucking how compromised is it when clubs are doing shit like that? Anyway, so Sydney, they're always sort of...
Jeez, they're a hard one to read, aren't they? Just when you think they should be down the shit end of the stick, they perform well.
Well, it's interesting without Buddy now that Logan McDonald will have to take more of the slack. That Amati, I think, is still there. So, Essendon...
They'll dominate the ruck, though, Sydney now.
Yeah.
Taylor Adams to... hang on, the other way around. Grundy to Taylor Adams. Could be a dynamic duo. Could be like Batman and Robin. Are they going to come down the poles? Well, not literally. To get into the game?
Well, it could be the first time that both hit our midfielders. Sorry, that's unfair. Could be the second time. Essendon.
The gift that keeps on giving. Well, they're going to be dominant this year, aren't they? So I keep reading.
Yeah. So and Hawthorn, so they'll, I think, still off the pace.
Essendon like an explosion. It starts well and then fades to fuck all.
Yeah. So that's the teams we play twice.
Well, we'll win most of those.
So in terms of like the other contenders around us, so I mean Carlton, we've spoken about. Brisbane, you'd think they'd be thereabouts. Do you sort of see anyone else really coming up?
No,
do you see like an Adelaide suddenly jumping up, or...
Well, GWS is the one that I'd probably...
He did a great job, Kingsley.
Oh, absolutely. I think they really caught a lot of teams off guard. They're just getting a little bit older now in terms of, are they hitting that right age bracket, or are they starting to tilt on the other side?
I mean, they got a pretty interesting mix because they got like sort of players, they rejuvenated the list when all these other midfielders and that left. So, look, I don't know. I mean, they're an interesting one. They've still got problematic players like Lockie Keefe in that side.
That's always funny.
So, Tom Hogan looked good for him.
He did.
Tom or Jesse Hogan?
Jesse Hogan.
Who's Tom Hogan?
Tom Hogan's his little known brother.
The cricketer, I think. Yeah, but Kingsley, they did a really good job last year. In that second half of the year, they actually looked really, really good. So,
right. Yeah, I think they could be up there and abouts.
And then you get sides like Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think they're done. Bulldogs
will be an interesting one because I think if they go into the red, if they like 2 and the 4 or something, I think they'll get rid of Beveridge.
Yeah, I think that they're at that stage where they have that brief moment of domination, and they just forget to turn up the rest of the game. I think there'll be a few more of those. Build up a nice lead and then watch it erode. I think that's their season.
Yeah, so Port's the other one. They've picked up that Radaglia from Geelong. Again, they're another interesting one. Sort of real March champions.
They're another hard one to read.
And then you get clubs, like the 2 West Australian clubs aren't going to do anything. You don't imagine...
Oh, well.
Actually Gold Coast with under Hardwick.
Yeah, they got the talent yet, though. I think that's going to be a slow burn.
If that works at all. I mean, I'm actually interested because if you look at a lot of the premiership coaches who are, won flags elsewhere when they go to a new club, they don't always have the same level of success, so that could be a little bit of a mirage for Hardwick. Richmond, bottom 6, you'd think.
Oh, I think so.
So, you'd think it'd be generally the same, top 10 size or something. I can't sort of see anyone really jumping up.
North, apparently, because they beat the Premiers last week.
Yeah.
Playing North Ball, is that what they call it? North Ball? I remember they fucking come up with this shit.
Did they call it North Ball?
North Ball. I think the media are calling it North Ball.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck is North Ball?
I don't know. I don't really care.
I think the media are so desperate to give fucking Clarko another name for the style of play. Was that fucking Clarko's cluster or something? Sounded like a chocolate bar.
Oh, they said, Hawthorn played the unsociable football.
Yeah, they're looking for some fucking angle to get excited about. I mean, it's North at the end of the day. Fucking hell.
Yeah. So, we play 3 Thursday games, 4 Friday matches, 1 5-day break. Bye is round 5 and round 15. The first 4, Greater Western Sydney over there. Tip?
That's the ground zero or whatever it is. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think because apparently, I don't know whether you know this, the GWS hate us now.
Oh, because fucking their president.
Yeah, I mean, is he taking the piss or what? No one gives a fuck about them.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. We could be. It'll be interesting. We've looked good on the track. You wonder whether that all. It'll be interesting how they go against Richmond tomorrow or next week or last week or how we went. How did we go? Can you record 2 of these and we'll just pick the bit that fits?
I think the really interesting thing is
It's better be interesting
with the guys in charge there between McRae, Lepich, and Bolton. They would know, we don't have to fucking be at our best in February.
No, well, that's the thing. I was about to say I wouldn't be surprised if we start slow.
Yeah, and if you go back to
it's a sprint, not a marathon.
Yeah, so it's a sprint, not a marathon.
No, I meant that.
Yeah,
for comedic reasons.
Thanks, Robbo.
Or something.
So in 2000, I recall Malthouse actually asked for 1 extra practice game, and he was taking them really seriously because he was trying to pump this broken list full of confidence. So, I think sometimes when you're coming from the bottom up, the coaches really rate those performances because it helps, give the existing list a purpose and makes them feel like, they're running above water and all that sort of shit. Whereas the teams that are higher up just going, well, this is just a bit of a piss fart to fucking kick the ball around until the real stuff starts. So, I wouldn't be worried about losing to North Ball. And even what happens with Richmond, just you really want to get through these couple of games unscathed.
Oh, that's it. I think tomorrow's game, they've named a fairly strong, probably close to full squad. Now, you don't think all of them will play the full game. They'll just be out there to get some run in their legs and some competitiveness belted into them and hopefully come through it without an injury.
Yeah.
That'd be the only outcome, wouldn't it?
Well, that's all you hope. You think letting go of Adams and Ginnivan, they know Schultz is going to come in, and that Finn McRae looks like the one. He'll probably get first go at the mid.
Yep, and fair enough.
Yep. So you know what the side pretty much looks like. The Murphy things, that's the little bit of a concern. But you'd have you won a flag, and you've been finalist or last 4 the last 2 years. The last 4 of the season. You'd have a pretty good idea what your settled core is and then who should be coming up and stuff like that. The thing I'd really like to see this year is, people keep talking about McRae. I'd really like to see someone who we're not expecting really sort of jump up. Whether it's that Carmichael, because I don't think people are expecting that as much of him. Or, even that Ed Allen. It's just someone to inject it with a little bit of, because you know what your known quantities are. So where's the other improvement going to come from? So you'd hope that something comes from somewhere.
Yeah, there's a few of those that are going to be an exercise in patience, though, too. I get Allen. It was only his first year last year, wasn't it?
Who's that?
Ed Allen.
Yeah.
But he comes with a lot of expectation. He looked all right at times, but at other times you couldn't see him. So, that's what you're going to get with some of these guys for a little while, yeah. But I think the important thing this year would be just to keep, not rotating them in and out, but give them a couple of weeks at somebody else's role. I think with the age profile of our list, you want to keep some fresh legs in some of the older boys, so you're going to expect them not to play every game. So there's going to be, I guess, a little bit of churning of players throughout the year. I would imagine. It may not happen that way. I thought that was going to happen a little bit last year, but it barely did. But you want to start getting some real games into some of these ones that are sitting on the sidelines to see what they've got.
So after GWS, you got Sydney here. So you had the 2 Sydney sides
here at the G.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's.
We're not playing at the other fucking thing, are we?
No.
Well, that should be a win.
And St Kilda away.
Was that?
I assume that's going to be Marvel. I assume that'll be round 3, so I'm assuming that's going to be Marvel. I should have checked, but who gives a fuck? And Brisbane, because I'll make my point after this, and then Brisbane away, which is round 4. I always find it a little bit funny when the fixture's released and you have all these supporters, and this happens for every club. it's like they start analysing it and they go, oh, fucking, we got this and that. And
Like what we're doing.
No, I'm not. I was just going to fucking say, I mean, ultimately, if you're good enough, you just win. That's all it comes down to. And I don't give a fuck if you have 28 home games or,
Generally, if you got a bigger score at the end of the game, you win.
Yeah, but it's like, I think it's sort of folly to go, oh, that's a hard game, that's an easy game. Because, like, you always get supporters go, oh, after 6 rounds, we could be 3-3 or we could be 2-4 or whatever. It's just like, just fucking go out and win.
Yeah, like it's funny last year, I think when we looked at most people looked at the fixture, you thought if you got away with being 3-3 by, the end of round 6, you'd be happy, but I think we far exceeded that. This, I think, will be a bit of a slower start. We could go in a few games down, could go in equal amount of games down, but I think we'll build momentum as we're travelling. I don't think we're in a rush to prove ourselves or anything now, like what you said. Is that we'll just eke out wins and then build towards finals would be the plan, I think.
So this is what Craig Kelly, COO, said of our fixture. We have one of the largest supporter bases in the AFL, all spread across the nation, and we look forward to seeing our members and supporters access our games and fill stadiums across the country. The opening round in Sydney is a great opportunity for Australian football, and we are pleased to be a part of it to engage our many supporters in New South Wales. The following week we will unfurl our premiership flag to our 19th player, the Magpie Army, under Friday night lights at the MCG. With matches scheduled across Thursday and Friday nights, we are excited to play our brand of football in primetime slots. Does it just sound like just fucking pointless marketing talk? And I understand he's not going to say, hey, we're going to smash you all or whatever, but...
Yeah, you really got no say in it, no matter what you end up saying, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you're presented with the fixture and you clearly just got to go with it. At some point, you're going to play every fucking side once. So we're really, in what order does it matter?
I just found it interesting they referred to the Magpie Army as our 19th player, whereas I thought the 19th player would have been the guy on the bench who comes on first. He would be the 19th player.
Paul Hardcastle.
Well, whoever it is. Or that other guy. Mitch, that you talked about a lot.
Mitch Cumstein.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm amazed I assembled a thought this far. No, let's just go out there and smash him. Let's just fucking smash him.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. So we'll be back after the GWS game.
No, actually, we won't.
We will be back after the
GWS game.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
No, thank you. Really.
Thanks, Robbo. Is that the moon?
Is that the fixture?
And looking forward to another year of AFL media.
Oh, well, I can't wait. They're the gift that keeps on giving. How many stooges are out there these days?
I don't know.
They're breeding, They're like rabbits.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it from us. Later.
Goodbye. Can't see how we lose the flag after that. That's a perfect shot.